Russell Brand.
And Russell Brand today reviewed it as unacceptable and offensive behaviour.
Sacked from XFM.
Dean is an astonishing error of judgment.
Unacceptable and offensive messages.
Juvenile, yes. Cruel and offensive, many thought so.
Sacked from MTV.
Hare Krishna.
10,000 complaints and criticism from the Prime Minister.
Who made the decision to broadcast it?
Gross slaps of taste.
Russell Brand
Russell Brand.
He's sacked today.
possibility of a police inquiry.
27,000 complaints about the
Two people
programme.
have reported this to the police.
Both stars have been suspended.
And a resignation as Russell Brand quits his BBC radio show.
Ladies and gentlemen, Russell Brand.
Matt Groening, the creator of The Simpsons, said good cartoon characters are recognisable in silhouette. I thought, yeah, be recognisable, be a character. Someone said to me once, tyranny is the deliberate removal of nuance. You know, so when, like, Andrew Sachs thing, that kicked off, that was deliberately reductive attitude from the English media. I have an alarm within me which I used to mistake for embarrassment. And, like, so when I feel like a sense of, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. No one must ever know this thing has happened to me, that I felt these feelings. My next impulse is, oh, that's stand up.
So, I've got to watch now. I don't go into questioning mode, just remain human.
Yeah, and I've sort of think, is this how I want to look? Like,
I think it probably is. Deep down, it is how you want to look. If you're going to do that, I'm going to sit like this. I think Freud could have worn this jacket. I always thought that beautiful people can't be funny. I was and you seem to have broken that mould.
I was really fat when I was a little kid. That was like a weird, introspective freak. You know, so like my personality was formed there.
Once you decided you wanted to be a performer, you wanted to be an actor. I was kind of slightly surprised in the book when you then started doing stand-up. So how did that happen? Really,
I got into stand-up because of its accessibility. There's no filtration system. Any industry that had a filtration system would have got me very early on. I'd have been caught in the mesh with the flotsam and jetsam right at the beginning.
When you first started, did you have any idea how to do it?
No. All I really had was sort of drive and a sufficient confidence to get up, and it was at Edinburgh. Someone goes, oh, you should do one of them open spots, and did like 5 to 10 minutes and went out and did that. And I remember it being like hastily delivered, garbled, sort of panic stuff, but just enough in it to realise, oh yeah, I'll do this then for the rest of my life.
And I'm stood next to James Blunt, and that's never easy at the best of times. Blunt, with his car horn voice. I think that's why he was chucked out of the army. People couldn't understand his orders. Let's go to war. Let's go to war with you. Well, I don't know what Corporal Blunt's saying, but I know what I like, and that should be number 1. Dismissed.
I understand some of your early gigs, you just went out with no planning, nothing, and just saw what happened.
Yes, and the ratio of good gigs there was quite low. I would often go out and fail dismally, particularly when I was drinking and using. My anxiety and nervousness came out as aggression, you know, like I was hostile towards audiences and was working through quite a lot of sort of psychological malady.
Was there any point when you thought, this is, after a bad gig, that's it for me, I've had enough?
I don't know why I so belligerently continued, actually, through some of the... Like, you know, because there were an awful lot of... incredibly bad gigs, you know, sort of like where like police intervention and hospitalisation. It's like, you know, sort of just
a bad gig.
Yeah, if you wake up in an hospital,
crazy.
yeah, sort of fighting people and stuff like that. And like, so like, but even then, I didn't think you're not cut out for this. I just thought, come on, onwards and upwards, you know, sort of ploughed through it.
Special kids. These things we can't sell. For example, do you want to come for nothing?
So these are the cameras that I was telling you about up front in terms of your close-up.
Right.
You know,
So I'm playing to them.
Well, you know, that, just beware that that's where they are.
Yeah, no problem.
Also, Russ, as you were saying the other day that you found it handy when you had a point to play out.
Yeah, actually, I did have.
If they're
in Cardiff, conveniently, there was like an exit sign right towards that. So whenever I was doing like say talking to Britney Spears or whatever, I used it for an eye line, and it was very good. It was helpful.
Well, what we could do, if you want, we could put a big red light, jam it on permanently on one of those. Yeah. Okay.
What about like a little police siren or something like that?
Police siren, exit siren, whatever.
Put up some slides and flash up tragic moments from my past.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, I always think when you go on stage, it's like having a graphic equaliser and you turn some of your things up to 10 and some right down. I turn up my genial, cheeky, chappy lewdness.
Yes.
It sounded like in the early days you were turning up some of the wrong switches. You were turning up your aggressive horribleness.
OK, I'm going out, wanting people to love me. Better turn up that arrogance. Let's get that to the forefront. Yeah, it was ridiculous. I was not being defined by my attributes, but by the things that were detrimental. Because I was tumbling through life, how one does if you're, like, you know, deep in the sickness of addiction. And like that, at that point in my life, I was really, the defining narrative was I'm going to die of the drug abuse. I used to think I loved being on my own, but I didn't know that I liked being smacked up out of my mind, is what I liked. I used to think, I'll be on my own, but really I was like using, like, don't matter what's on the telly, off your head, slumped, gouching, drool hanging from your lips, sort of some blissful perfection, the annihilation of self, there's nothing. I wouldn't want to have to live that life again. I don't think I could pull myself through that another time. That's one of the things that helps me not to drink or take drugs again. Because I think, fucking hell, how can you live like that? How can you do? It's so demanding on you, so debilitating and painful and lonely. I suppose even in that answer, Frank, it makes me realise that there is quite a deep corollary between my personal journey and what I'm like as a performer, because it's always been authentic and honest. And when I was a total fuck-up, it was a person fucking up in a very sort of clear and obvious and, oh, my God, someone asking to be loathed and hated. You know, now there isn't such darkness within me. It's like I feel like I've not really got much to hide.
I mean, I know this from drinking a lot, that when you look back on it, it almost does seem like it was another person who was doing all that horror.
Yeah.
When you come to talk about your past, you think, oh, I better not tell them this story. I better not tell them that I used to take my grand's pension to buy drugs, because it might, you know, they might start to hate me. And people often don't laugh at people they don't like, if you know what I mean.
What I thought is that I could establish sufficient distance between the person that I was and was capable of being and the person on stage. I was almost able, I think, to put... It became like a alter ego. It became something I could use, like a sort of mine for material.
Right, so I used to be able to distract myself from feeling embarrassed and ashamed by drinking and taking drugs, cheer me up a little bit. Can't do that anymore because I've spoiled it, took too much of it. But thanks for cheering the old near decline. It's part of me that's not really over it. There's a little part of my brain that's, Russell, where are the opiates? I'm afraid we can't have any more opiates. Why? She nearly killed me, didn't she? It was just a joke.
solo pienso de las cosas de sexo, siempre las mujeres, las tetas, culos, siempre más mujeres, las chicas, es en mi alma, es en mi corazón, siempre. Yo también. Nosotros tenemos la misma problema. That's all sex stuff, isn't it? Who's cool about?
So when you tour then, how many people would you travel with?
Well, there's Nicola does my hair and makeup. And in fact, her daughter Minnie was conceived by one of her clients. Danny does security. She was. Nick, my manager. Nick, the driver. Jack and Gareth, producers, creative producers of the show. And Tom, my assistant. Promoter, then any technical people that are required, and as many groupies as the bus can carry. No, it's Nick's quiet, isn't he? Nick's withdrawn, don't like to be involved, does he, Nick? In the shadows. He's just dreaming up one of his schemes, selling timeshares.
To an old-style comic like myself, the idea you travel with makeup and hair is, is obviously it's like a different world to me. I suppose I kind of prided myself on being that solitary stand-up figure who does everything alone.
All the time. I think he's going to sort of enter the Olympics.
You can impose that for romantic reasons, but in fact, I like the idea of you having this sort of comedy family who say, oh, we really like that bit, but that bit didn't work and stuff like that. It seems a very healthy way of working.
So then off the back of that, it's, don't think, you did what to a grandchild?
I saw a clip of you going on stage, I think in Sydney, and there was someone walking along with you saying, so do the stuff about blah, 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 and kind of talking about your material like that. Do you kind of workshop your material as well?
Yeah, and it works across all of the stuff we do when we're doing telly and when we were doing radio and now moving into films, and continue that relationship, because I think so important to those creative relationships is trust, and again I see the connection between how I am personally and how I am creatively, sort of like, because for me I can't even begin until I sort of have a complete trust in someone. So unlike with sex, where I'll do it with someone that I've met in a park
who's carrying a knife.
What a lovely blade. You could do all sorts of damage, couldn't you? Could you take out the pain? Not him, don't spoil it. Hello. Hey, thank you all for coming to the third Focus fundraiser. Focus, for those of you that don't know, Focus is a charity that provides treatment and help for people with drug and alcohol addiction problems. How do you know that? Well, a year ago, almost to this very day, a year ago on the 30th of December, hello darling, a year ago, I sort of know everyone here, and people go, oh, you're right there. So, almost a year ago, I stopped taking heroin and crack and weed and stopped drinking alcohol. So it's sort of a celebration of my 1 year of cleanliness and sort of to raise money for Focus as well. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Because there is, of course, an Alcoholics Anonymous contingent in the room that will just applaud me for being able... they're not interested in stand-up, they're just impressed that I can stand up. Quite frankly.
How did the sort of Byronic goth thing come about, the Russell Brand we've come to know? When did that emanate?
I was rebuilding myself anyway, having been a drug addict for 10, 11 years and just stopped taking drugs for a year. So I was like a brittle little man, and I sort of didn't really know what to do, what to wear, what I wanted to be. And because of the people I was hanging out with, I thought, just dress a little bit cooler and a bit more, because I wasn't very confident in who I was, because it changed so dramatically as a result of not having the quilt of drugs and booze around me. I was very exposed. So then started to dress a little bit better. And I can remember distinctly looking into the mirror thinking, your hair, do something I can remember thinking that would look cool to have that. It would just be a weird thing to have. I remember sort of doing that. So and then it sort of got a little bit out of hand like that. It's difficult to stop once you start in that direction.
This is what the difference, right, between extreme preparation and someone that just put on a t-shirt and forgot to iron it.
Shoddy. Yeah, so when they thought, I'm only going to dress in black. It happened very, very organically. It wasn't as a result of people sat around a table going, and now I'm an image. You know, it was just started to realise that I needed to be a character.
The rootin' tootin' boots. There were a moment just before I had these boots where I was looking at the boots through a shop window and I thought, if I get them boots, I will be truly happy. That is what's missing from my life, is them fucking boots. Right? And when I got the boots, I sort of put them on in the shop, and the woman goes, oh, do you want to put your other shoes back on now? And I looked at my other shoes with disgust. Those things! Fuck you! Right? Because, like, my mum weren't there to force me to put them shoes on. Save the boots for best! Save the boots for... I'm wearing the boots!
Now, this is where you're playing on Saturday night.
Am I? Where?
In there?
Oh, my God. It's lovely, isn't it? We'll never sell that out. I've got no material. I've got no profile.
Well, you have been fair enough for about a week.
Yeah, I know, but still made me laugh.
Yeah, my one was better though, and I made it up.
Your one was better, mate, yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
Thanks, you want to come through?
These are all my friends and associates.
Excellent, we like an entourage.
I want to know if you want to get married and have a baby.
I do, of course I do. I really want children.
Mr. Bang-a-lot?
I don't want to be Mr. Bang-a-lot. I hate that part and that name. Bang-a-lot. He sounds like a horrible boy.
Sir Bang-a-lot.
No, even with the knighthood, it's too crass. No, I want to be something else.
What would you like to be?
Someone who everyone loves because he's cuddly and bringing peace and joy.
Oh, Mr. Cuddle-a-lot.
Like it.
Russell Brand Scandalous Tour Friday night.
Do you think the Russell Brand womaniser thing is a danger? I always think in order to be a womaniser, one has to tone down one's self-respect and compassion a bit to be able to carry it out. There are certain things, ways you have to behave to get laid, that you wouldn't always want to be remembered for that style of behaviour.
You're right. It's not really like... You don't want it as a epitaph, do you? Womaniser. Here lies a womaniser.
You could get Britney Spears singing at your funeral.
If she turns up, I'll consider it a triumphant life break. I don't know what he means.
Oh, wow. Off we go.
When I want to love Russell Brand, the one thing that slightly worries me a bit, and even though I did a lot of groupieing myself, maybe because I did a lot of groupieing myself, is I know it doesn't always bring out the best. And when you say when you're on stage you want to be yourself, sometimes when you say, tonight I want to shag 2 women, any volunteers? I kind of think, well, I don't know if I like this or not.
No, I know what you mean. That sort of, I've got to learn to have that distinction. You know, though, like, say, sort of on a biological Richard Dawkins, selfish gene type level, I sort of sometimes think, why did I even bother to, like, perhaps even unconsciously, why do you bother to get famous? Why do you want status? Why do you want power? You know, and a lot of that is to attract female of species, right? So when I'm sort of sometimes on stage and they're all like, you know, I'm all being objectified and it's all exciting and there's that sort of giddy, estrogen-filled mist in the air, sometimes I sort of, it takes a lot of discipline, often more than I personally have, to sort of not go, I will fuck you, you know? I love you! I think it's not the better part of me. It's not the better part of me. But, like, see what I've had to just describe to you. You can't fucking fit that in a quick, you know, a kiss and tell in the news of the world. It's just easier. Brand, love, nest, romp, jacuzzi, flat screen TV, stuff like that. Yeah. Once it's chiselled into it's sort of the basic spike of a tabloid narrative, then it's pretty unpleasant.
Yeah.
You know? But, like, I do... Well, yeah, I want to have children. I want to be a father and be beautiful. I like sort of think that, yeah, like on this, as the same as you picked up on, like when asking an audience to love me, I want to be able to get beyond it, but it's hard not to take the path of least resistance someone.
I feel a duty. I need a big, strapping, strong boy. Oh my God, people are showing their boobs. There's so much estrogen here. It's hysterical. Hello, darling. I can't say hello to everyone as individuals. I'll be covered in bras. Thank you. What, love? Can I look on the stage? You've left something on the stage. That's beginning to sound menacing. What is it, a stool? Yes, dear. I mean, I've enjoyed our interaction, but you seem to be ignoring the presence of all these other... I'll talk to you later. I'm under a lot of pressure at work.
It seems to be intrinsic to me and my destiny to spend time in toilet cubicles, not for their primary function. Right. First as a lonely onanist, then as a drug addict, then, you know, for liaisons of the flesh. And now, even now, when striving for cleanliness, I find myself in them cubicles, inhaling deeper than one would like, to try and breathe myself into some clear-headed state, zen-like state, so that I'm focused.
So the idea is that you sort of empty yourself of thought, almost.
Yeah, and faeces. Which is
at the same time.
A peculiar catharsis of that. I'm usually incredibly adrenalised and sort of like, ooh, like sort of nervous still. That's preparatory, that I'm just like, I'm getting ready for it. And I think the ritualisation of it, and I suppose the function of all ritual, is to move one from a state of the individual into a sort of a consciousness of connection, like of being at one with higher things, you know. So that's, yeah, sort of like, yeah, shed all of that stuff, so like I feel open and ready and that I can stand before people.
I think that explanation now does, in many ways, identifies Russell Brand, the comic, from other comics who always just refer to that process as the comedy shit.
I didn't know there was an aphorism.
I've got to have a comedy shit.
You can do a comedy shit. I'm at one with God. Behold, I have given a stool and I hold it up to sacrifice, like Tiresias with the charred bones of a bird to the oracle. He's just done a poo. Yeah, I know. And that's what makes me special.
Can I have Mr. Russell Brand for the Jay Leno show?
Paul Belton from Worcester, Massachusetts. Oh, Worcester! AJ, I know. All right. You know,
There is more than that, though, isn't there, to your pre-show, Rich? I mean, what about Team Russell? Did they have a part in it as well? Do you do one of those Madonna-like team hugs?
I don't do none of that. I don't do sort of anything that sort of, you know, but people know to, you know, that it goes sort of quiet. The mood changes and there's only certain people I can be around. Yeah, I have to have very sort of controlled conditions, like an iguana, or I'll die. I'm scared of that, man. I think as an addict, I like altered states, you know, so like the fact that terror, that anxiety is about to transform into an incredible sense of potency and elevation and being above and beyond the self, I like it.
Good show tonight, the witty and talented Russell Brand, the celibate Russell Brand on the show tonight. Plus we'll cook.
What it has done for me is it's given me, I've noticed with live television and also with something happens during a gig, I've got another gear. Like if it goes into mayhem, I sort of think, oh yeah, nice, all right, I remember this.
Hello, I'm Jay Leno. This is the Jay Leno programme.
we've got the witty and talented Ross Brand, Oscar Ho. Plus, we'll cook with rude F-word chef Gordon Ramsay. He's effing well here, effing brilliant. Plus, music from the sexy, whisper it, Nico Case. And we'll find out what the audience wants to know, long as it's kinky. Great show coming up after the news.
That was awesome.
I come here with some splendid news.
What's that?
I'd like to marry your daughter.
No.
Wait till you see this woman's daughter. It is this gorgeous creature just over here. And I have never been more in love.
When you're out and about, what is the general public response to you? And more interestingly, has it changed since what we should perhaps call Sachsgate?
The most common response appears to be, I thought it was out of order the way that went, mate. All of that, you know what I mean? I think people overreacted. You know, like, oh yeah, sorry, I'm sort of sorry that happened. I sort of think, I'm all right, I'm bothered. You know what I mean? But obviously I was bothered at the time and everything. Hang this up. All nice. I like things to be quite, you know... I'm sort of a bit obsessive-compulsive, actually, when it comes to detail. A quality that was sadly absent when it came to editing a pre-recorded radio show. You live, you learn.
So do you think there's part of you that seeks chaos in some way? Almost nostalgically seeks chaos? Because your life was complete chaos at one point.
Yeah, I think a little bit, Frank. I think I still sort of like, you know, so when like, again, like with the, you know, that, when that Andrew Sachs thing, that kicked off, I was surprisingly calm. You know, like while that was going off and everyone around me was like, oh my God, this has gone fucking mental. I was like, yeah, it's good, isn't it? Like, you know, like, I was sort of aware that this is just an exciting thing. Like that's happening, and like I'm sort of attuned to it, and like I'll tell you why as well, because I was able to look inside myself with it and think I do feel bad that there was a moment where an elderly man listened to an answer phone message probably in his hallway, like, you know, on his own, listened to an answer phone message and probably made his tummy turn over a bit because it was a bit horrid. And like for that, I wrote him a letter of sorry, I'm so sorry, mate, that was rude of me, and I got carried away and I went thinking. But in my head, like, there was absolutely no malice. As my mate Matt said, he goes, I know that when you made that phone call, you thought at the other end of the phone was Manuel in a white jacket with a tray. That's what I wasn't ringing up a person. I just thought the idea of because I love 40 Towers. I love it like so much. Like know the tunes of it. Like you know, Mrs. Richards, your glasses are there. What we are orally men. It's like deep in me from when I was like listening to it on cassettes at 7 years old. So I love that program. When that girl said that her granddad was like Andrew Sachs, I was like, oh my God, I fucking love Manuel. Oh, that's so brilliant. Because it was like we knew there was no malice at its heart, and you can never predict the collision of social factors of economic deprivation, the constant undermining of BBC licence fee, the privately owned media trying to destroy it, ill feeling about Jonathan earning that money, newspapers needing to campaign to keep themselves alive, just a general evil, malignant malevolence at the core of the Daily Mail that wants us all to live in absolute fear and terror and hatred, never to leave our house, be afraid of every other race, every other person. It's difficult to predict that when you're just mucking about. That was deliberately reductive attitude from the English media, the Daily Mail especially, how the response to that was because the thing that they said happened would be unacceptable and bad. But that ain't the thing that happened. It's the, like, someone said to me once, tyranny is the deliberate removal of nuance, right? Like, you know, because I just hate what they're trying to do, like trying to bludgeon people into idiocy, trying to highlight the unattractive elements of people's character, trying to make everything dark and nasty and, oh, there shouldn't be immigrants, and these people are slightly different, and trying to sort of constantly nurturing and moulding the negative aspects of our characters. And, you know, it was just, for me, unfortunately, it was such a trivial incident and one where I was in the wrong. Like, so, because I couldn't really go to war on that because it was wrong. It was a stupid thing to have done. It was a mistake and all that.
At the time of the scandal, Noel sent me a text message that read, Russell. He's able to convey his accent through text messages. It's a great gift. Russell, a Russell Brand lookalike, has been forced to resign from lookalike work and return to his previous employment washing dishes because since the scandal, he cannot get no lookalike work. I hope you're proud of yourself. There he is. He looks an idiot. Look at that headline. Andrew Sachs phoning scandal claims yet another victim. I'm not Harold Shipman. It's not like when they were digging up Fred West's garden. Oh, bloody hell, another victim. How did the house not fall over? It's like cadaver kerplunk.
In a way, it's worked to your advantage because when we see you in Scandalous, we know basically what's happened to you. We know there was a big scandal. We know you did the MTV Awards. And to hear you in the Scandalous Tour go out and this big scandal, we thought, some people even said, do you think he'll mention it? I said, he'll fucking mention it, don't worry about that. And you came out and it was like there was a shower of scandal and you were standing there warming yourself up for it. It was fabulous to watch.
Here, for you, London, is my favourite complaint. It's from the confusingly named and addressed Poole Island, London, UK. Poole Island, London, UK. These two overpaid louts pick on one of the best comic actors of his generation, fueled in no small part, I would imagine, because he's Spanish. Ireland and the UK. 40 Towers is not a documentary. While it was all going on and all that chaos and it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and all the people outside the house and the front page and like, dung, the menus again, Russell Brand. And while that was all going on, I was just like, fucking hell, this is mental. Just like,
but exciting as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you were at the centre of the fucking universe there.
Yeah, I liked it there. That is where I belong, I decided that day. Hey, the thing that troubles me most about that scandal is this. I do worse things than that every day.
Do you still feel a need, though, to shock and cause a furore?
Yeah, I think it's a useful tool to open people up, you know, under the correct conditions. I think it's more rewarding, isn't it? Rather than, like, comedy being constant confirmation of what people already think, like, you know, that kind of comedy, better to sort of guide people incrementally into some sort of bizarre place. Yeah, I still find that there's a value in that, not in and of itself, not for its own sake. I don't think that's worth doing, like, because anybody can say something shocking, but I like the awakeness and that shock can bring that, you know. I like that when people feel like engaged, and like I find that an interesting state. Right, belts. Come on.
What have you been doing?
Yeah, what do you two actually... Do you have jobs with us?
Because they're having a laugh, aren't they?
It's like a couple of arseholes. It's like the longest youth training scheme in history.
Well, I'm starting to get insulted by this.
Yeah, I am a little bit. Maybe we should go somewhere else, Gary.
Maybe we should.
Let's see like that. Should we go somewhere else?
Good luck, you punk motherfuckers.
He's a real charmer, isn't he, this guy? A real inspirational character.
Keep up the work, chaps. Appreciate you.
Are we ready to go?
Would you ever love me?
entertaining Russell Brand.
Every day till dawn.
Oh, bravo! Back on the telly, ain't it?
We didn't watch it. Us.
Could be one of us. Nice. It's like Kelso.
Russell Brand, please, we just saw you on
Just the same old thing. New York City, thank you very much for a lovely
If you did a gig in Thurrock,
yeah,
you would use the same phraseology and vocabulary as you would at the Oxford Union. You are not restrained in your vocabulary. And I think you've made it cool to be articulate.
I like that. What I feel is I've got some things I say are complicated and nuanced, and you just can't crash bang wallop your way through it monosyllabically, you know. And like I also think like I love that Oscar Wilde quote, like I'm told you were being loquacious. Any man that would call a spade should be compelled to use one. It's all he's fit for.
Right, what does that sign mean? I cat you? What does that mean? Oh, right, that is cat. The arrow points to cat the individual and cat heart me. There ain't even an apostrophe S. I don't think I could have sex with someone with such a slender grasp on grammar.
So I like that. I like being... I think it's beautiful. It's how I like it. I'm in love with language, or the English language. I don't know any others. But, like, you know, sort of enjoy it very much. And it sort of was, again, one of them things like comedy that was there even before, supporting me even before I knew that that's what it was doing, having a fascination in language and just watching things like Blackadder and thinking, oh, what's that word? Oh, what is that? And going off and finding it.
Sniffer dogs present us with a curious dichotomy. This is a split idea. I don't mean to be patronising, but I do like to cater to the thick. Not I'm suggesting anyone is. And if you're offended by that, then you have to go, I'm offended by that. And then the caveat must be, because I'm thick. So by being offended, you've sort of acknowledged that you are thick. And none of us are, so we're all back on speaking terms. We're all delightfully clever.
Right, I'll go and see my mum now then. Once my mum moves, there's no reason for me to ever come back here. It will no longer be part of my present, but part of my past, sort of an irrelevance. But, yeah, I grew up in there. See that window? I used to look out that window. Bloody kids. Sorry, mate, I didn't mean to kick that at you. Of course you could. My mate will take it if you like.
Yeah, is that right?
I suppose this is what it is about my background, right? It's not quite anything. It's not like everyone here works in the same factory or, you know, down the same pit. And that's what I sort of feel, is that that's why there was nothing. There's nothing to go, right, I'm this, I'm from here, this is what we believe. That's why things like, you know, sort of West Ham and, like, that's why my identity has had to be completely, I am me, because I'm not this, you know? There's not anything else. It's not anything enough, you know. But it's like and I feel sort of a bit out of order, because when I meet the sort of people, I think, no, they're lovely people, but my identity, one way or another, was formulated around not being part of it. Yeah.
It's interesting because you wrote about ambition in your book. You said anything in life, whether it's a woman or a job, you will move any obstacle to obtain that, which I found slightly distasteful almost to me, but you're very upfront. Is that still at your core, is your drive and ambition to be more and more successful?
I think it's still really significant to me. I suppose one of the reasons it's distasteful is because it's a constant acknowledgement that you're not enough. Like, you know, that you don't have enough, you're not satisfied, and that's sort of like, it's not very nice, you know, but like, I feel less like that now because I feel sort of more contented and happy. But I feel if something is possible and achievable, that it ought be achieved, as long as it's not some sort of lunatic genocide. I sort of feel like, well, why not?
The mayhem stirred me not because hysteria had surrounded me as long as I can remember. When I was a little boy, it was mental and crazy. I thought I'd be all right when I grow up. I grew up, I was a junkie, so it's still mental and crazy. I stopped taking drugs, thought it might get easier. Then this happened. I said to my mum, Mum, will my life always be like this? She went, yeah. All right, Mum. Have a little cuddle. How do you feel? I saw Yvonne just now.
Oh, did you? What did she say? Oh, how lovely.
There's a quote you use in your book, I think it's Solzhenitsyn who says the line of good and evil runs through every man. I think it runs through you quite clearly. It's almost like that there's a court jester who works for this slightly evil megalomaniac king, and the court jester is able to take the piss out of him, but you think, when the king speaks directly, it's actually quite scary. And I thought there was something sounded ruthless about the way you discussed ambition. And when I read that, I thought, well, I want the jester to step in here and temper that a little.
Well, I think inevitably that will happen, because I don't think, because I recognise the part of me that achieves and succeeds is, to use your analogy, the jester part of me. That's the part of me that I need to present. But it would be disingenuous of me not to acknowledge that I am a person who wants to achieve.
That it?
Sorry, Russ.
That's right, mate.
To Natalie and Tanya and Karen, that's my missus. Yes, there is, mate. Yeah, thanks, Russ. Nice one. That's nice one.
Yeah, I saw them tickets.
Yeah, thanks. Nice of you. Yeah, cheers.
It's not something I want to bellow at dinner parties, like about how, like, you know, much I want to succeed and how much I want to take it further than it's, you know. But like, it is there, and so I have to sort of accept it. It's funny, isn't it? Because I didn't really think about it when it's like signing autographs in my house where I grew up. That's mad, eh? That was finally the fame bleached out the last possible quadrant of anonymity. The street where I grew up, the bedroom where I long pondered the possibility of autographs.
For you see, I, ridiculous though it may seem, am not famous in America. And people from our country often say to me, oh, what's it like not being famous in America? I bet you love it, do ya, do ya, do ya? I fucking hate it. Because my personality does not work without fame. Without fame, this haircut just looks like mental illness.
You don't have that fear with, like, Eminem's second album when he says, oh, whenever I'm famous now, all the things I'm writing about are alienating to people and people can't relate to my life anymore.
That's why I surround myself by a team of impoverished writers. They don't receive any money for this. I remember with my Guardian column, right, I was writing it in Tuscany. Like, I'd gone there to write my autobiography. And, like, you know, we had this really funny, like, guy, Sri Lankan fella, who was looking after the house. And before we got there, the word they used to describe what he was butler. Oh, we've got a butler with the house. He was not a butler. He had green overalls on, bottle green overalls he had on, and he was like, he didn't want to do anything that you asked him. He had none of the qualities. And I remember, like, sort of writing that about how rubbish he was. He was lovely, but he was rubbish at his job, right? And, like, I was, like, writing in my Guardian column about, like, the butler's a bit rubbish. And I thought, this is not a topic for the masses. Like, you know what it's like when your butler's just not up to scratch? No, we don't all have butlers. Oh, really? Is your butler good then? I sort of started to realise then. But really, there ain't no difference from me being embarrassed when I'm scoring smack under a bridge in Camden to being embarrassed when I meet Madonna backstage at Live Earth. Still just me going, oh, bloody hell, that was a bit awkward.
I don't get many opportunities in my life to look cool. My life is essentially a series of embarrassing incidents strung together by telling people about those embarrassing incidents. If if I ain't in here telling you about them, I'm out there having them.
I don't feel that craven need for approval that I once did. I sort of feel a little more settled. You know, like I've done a few things now. I've had like some success. I don't feel that I have to, you know, it doesn't seem legitimate anymore.
Does that mean you're happier now then?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, happier.
Hare Krishna, good night.
It's nice that no matter what happens in front of, you know, sort of like doing a school play when I was 15 or a handful of people above a pub in Chalk Farm or the O2, at the end of the day, I'll be all right, you know, I'll be all right, just me. Oh, like that, I heard a Lester Bangs anecdote about Elvis in Vegas, and he goes, I was expecting the parody, you know, like it'd become this ridiculous thing. He goes, but when Elvis walked out, the voice, you know what I mean? And he goes, whoa, it's Elvis fucking Presley. And he's still got it. And it goes, in spite of everything, all the jokes and the food and the drugs and the Memphis Mafia, it never left him to the end. It stayed with him. And that's what I suppose, stand-up means to me. It don't matter if all the money goes, if all the fame goes, if your looks go, whatever. If you cherish it and nurture it, you'll have that always.
Yeah, well done.
I've never stooped.
The week of the MTV VMA Awards, I was the 5th most Googled thing in the world. Thank you for the encouragement. Cheers, appreciate it. Before you go too crazy, a lot of that Googling was done by me, but not all of it. And look over here, number 37, Russell Brown. I'm gonna take that as well. I'm good old Russell Brown.
Watch the Artful Dodger of comedy do what he does best. Russell Brand's third live DVD, Scandalous Live at the O2, is available to own now. Buy it at channel4.com/shop. And from a funny man to a chatty one, Alan Carr's new series continues this Thursday on 4 at 10. Next tonight, Jobs and Lobsters are on the line in Cast-Offs.